Welcome everybody to the Horizontal. This is season 1, episode 7 today, and we got a special guest from Germany, Mike Arslanian, aka Teach. This is going to be the last owner we interview with. We've gotten everyone else. This is going into his second year into this league. Teach, welcome.
What up, what up? How is everybody in the office?
They're going to be great. Great for you to come back, make your return.
Yeah.
And we'll get into last season. 6-8, 4 seed. So that sounds like an okay season. However, what I did leave out is that you finished in second place in this league. Opening thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was pissed. I wanted to win. Unlucky week.
Yeah.
But it's all good. I'm happy with second. I'll take it.
Especially in your first year in the league, second place is quite impressive with the whole new setup that we have.
I'll also say that I had a lot more off-the-field distractions than you guys, just by being in another country. So now in the playing field, I'll kick your asses.
Now, that is true. However, you also do had 6 hours on us. That could have been a big impact on the free agency when picking up. We might have been asleep while you were snatching those key free agents.
I disagree because we don't have a waiver wire.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's
Yeah,
it?
I'm asleep for all like the Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night games. I'm asleep for half of like the 425 games.
Oh, that is true.
So I woke up and those guys are already taken.
Oh, that's true. Man, yeah, you pulled it out though. Second place,
Yeah.
and you take that first year. Now we're gonna be ready for you now. We weren't sure what to expect your first year, but I'm definitely ready. Gonna be looking out for you.
Yes. Hey, man, I don't know how you guys played, but it'll be a lot tougher this year, I'll say.
Oh yeah, and we've discussed that in previous podcasts. It's gonna be very balanced, but we can get into the first pick, and we saw that you had the last pick, first round, 8th pick, and you took an interesting pick in Ezekiel Elliott. Do you want to talk about that pick?
I thought I got a steal. I was very happy with my pick.
It was quite a surprise.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm surprised Josh took Gurley over Elliott because it just seemed like Elliott was in the best place to succeed at that time. Because Romo was hurt, so you're gonna have Dak Prescott starting, 4th-round rookie. All right, you're not gonna put the team on his back. You're gonna put the team on your what was Elliott, like 4th overall, something like that.
Yep.
Bonafide star. People are saying like, oh, next AP, next big stud. And then you got Dez, who's coming off injury, so you didn't know how he was gonna start. Then you had the Dallas O-line, which was best in the league. So it just seemed like they were just gonna ground and pound, put the load on Elliott, and that's what they did.
No, if there was a rookie to take, that was definitely the one. I think just people shy away from rookies. So I think when Josh saw Gurley and he had quite a good season last year, he was like, "Oh, this is the safer pick." That's what it seemed like in his eye.
I don't know. I would say that second-year players are more of a risk than rookies. The benefit of having Elliott is you have his college tape, yeah, but college isn't really the same. You couldn't really prepare, especially in the earlier weeks. Later in the season, yeah, because then you got like 12, 13 games of tape on them. But on Gurley, they had all off-season. They had 16 games worth of tape. Easier to prepare for.
Yeah, and certainly the way the Rams team was structured didn't help either because he had, like you said, no line compared to Dallas's. Dallas was just a superior team to LA.
Well, no line, no like stud wide receiver. At least like Dallas has Dez.
Yeah, he certainly was a threat. Though Elliott, nonetheless, if you just go by the other people in the league, that would be a surprise, but a nice surprise though. It was a great pick. That was definitely like the first or second best pick value wise in the first round. That and Antonio Brown, I would say.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck Brian was doing with Rob Gronkowski. That was arguably the stupidest pick of like draft history ever. Since like fantasy football was started, if you take like every single league combined, the worst thing you could have done is like take a kicker first round. That's the only way to be taking Gronk first.
Dude, and you're not the only one who's made who's actually bashed Brian about this pick. I think every single podcast has made a comment about the first overall pick. Just very shocking.
Well, I mean, I heard his like defense of it, and it was a pretty bad defense. So, maybe actually, I don't hope he drafts smarter this year. I hope he drafts the same way. I think he has fifth. I hope he takes Gronk fifth. I'll be completely happy with that.
I think we scared him away from taking Gronk.
Yeah, probably. We'll see.
Unless he sees him in the third round, I feel like he would take him.
He'll take him in the second.
You think he'll go that high?
With Brian in the league, I think so.
I
can also see Nico, because Nico likes to favor the Pats too. If he's up there, depending on if there was a run on like a wide receivers, I can see Nico taking Gronk too.
I'd be shocked. Nico does like some of the Patriot players like Edelman, Brady. I think Nico would be more towards a quarterback, like as in Brady Patriot, than Gronk. Because the two quarterback league, he does value the quarterbacks pretty high.
I think the quarterback picks are there's gonna be a run on them, and it's either gonna be right in the beginning of the second round or right at the end of it, or like the beginning of the third. So it's gonna be interesting to see where the quarterbacks go.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And even last year we had 3 quarterbacks taken in the second round. Like, that's a big deal, definitely.
Yeah. I think there was 3 of them and 4 picks in the second round.
Say that again.
There are 3 quarterbacks taken in like 4 picks or 5 picks.
Yep.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Janko started it with Rodgers.
Yeah.
Who will probably go first again? Maybe Brady. Actually, it's going to be debatable to see which one goes first.
Yeah.
Though
you can't really go wrong with both of them.
No, not at all. You know what you're getting out of any of them. No, we saw last year. You take Allen Robinson with your second round pick.
Yeah.
I like the player personally. Especially how many touchdowns he had, and I drafted Bortles, so I clearly thought that the Jaguars were actually gonna be good, but I don't think he panned out as good as you wanted.
Because I had Robinson in the I think ESPN league we did like 2 or 3 years ago, and he killed it. And so did Bortles. Like they'd connect for like 20-yard touchdown like every every other game. He was a stud 2 years ago. And then I guess Bortles just had a bad season. It wasn't really Robinson's fault. Like, he was healthy. He was playing well. It was kind of just bad luck on Bortles having like a little slump.
Yeah, Bortles was god-awful. I think he threw so many picks. And then he just couldn't stop throwing picks. And from what I'm hearing, during his training camp, he's throwing even more picks. He threw like 5 picks in a practice camp or something.
I heard that. They're gonna go like I think like the Dallas blueprint, try to run with Fournette.
I mean, that's a good idea. I mean, especially the season that Bortles had last season. I mean, can you really rely on him?
Well, they also have they should have like a good defense too this year.
They're young.
They're young and they're all kind of studs. Because Ramsey had like a low key good year, and then they signed the dude from Houston. I think they signed like another safety, so like their secondary is good. Their D line, their linebackers are pretty good. It's just Bortles. If Bortles coming around, like that's a scary team. That's like a sleeper team in the South.
Yeah, and the AFC South it's not even strong to start with.
Nope.
Smart. How many games were you able to catch while you're? Say that again.
What? I
I
said I don't mind my Robinson pick. I'll stand by that. I thought it was a good pick at the time. I regret my I think I took Lacey third round. I think that was the worst pick, most decision I made.
Yeah, you did. Yep. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean,
That's the one pick I would take back in the draft.
especially all the weight he gained.
The way and then he got injured again, let me down.
Especially the worst part, I'd feel like if I was in your spot, I'd feel terrible because Le'Veon Bell went fourth round.
I
After
know.
that,
I was going between them, and I just felt because like I thought Lacey would have a rebound year because he got hurt the year before too. Just had a good feeling about him, and I was wrong.
that could have won you the championship there.
If I took Le'Veon, yeah, because I took Le'Veon,
Yep.
and Le'Veon started killing it towards the end.
Yeah, and he's projected to go top 3 this year.
Yeah.
So when you pick these players, how often were you able to watch them, especially being 6 hours difference?
Not often. I try to catch the Patriots games. That's about all the games I watched.
Mm-hmm. Were you able to catch any of
Because the
the?
way it was, like most week. What?
Were you able to catch any of the 1 o'clock games? Like that would be like for 7 o'clock for you.
Yeah. Well, the problem was that like our weekends I spent traveling a lot. So by the time I got back Sunday, it was usually like nighttime, like 10, 11. Like I'm tired. I just want to sleep. I need a shower. So like I tried to catch all the past games I could, and everything else I was kind of just following on like Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter definitely helps in that case. You get the feed goes right to you in the highlights.
Yeah.
Gonna be a nice adjustment for you to come back though. Um,
Yeah. Like I said, you guys had an advantage on me. All of you.
I'll
We'll
I'll
see.
I'll admit that we did have an advantage. I didn't think so at first. I didn't look at it that way as you weren't able to watch the games. Because I know you historically are known to stay up pretty late.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but what was your feeling going being first year in this league last year? How did you feel in it? Did you enjoy it? Or was it
Oh,
something you
I
expect?
had a blast. I had a good time. Because
Um,
everybody was relatively active. Like, Igo had his weeks where he would set his lineups, and then weeks where he wouldn't. Then he went hot, and then Nate started off good, and then I think he kind of got like bored with it or whatever. But everybody else was active. Everybody was always picking up, always dropping, trying to like make plays. It was good.
yeah, and as active as it was last season, it's going to be even more this year as we took out the 2 guys you just mentioned that are not even in the league anymore, and we got 2 guys that are checking just as much as we do.
Yeah. I'll have to see. Kind of meet him. Scope out the competition.
Oh, you'll have to play those mind games when you come back.
Oh yeah, I will.
And just remember, as we mentioned, it was an offline draft, so the draft's gonna be slower. You're gonna see the person face to face. Might have to talk some of that trash that you're known for.
Well, I mean, it's offline, you know. I got a good friend Josh over there. He can't use all his computer knowledge or whatever. You got all you business majors with your Excel bullshit, whatever. Now it's just smarts. No. Maybe I'm the smartest person in the room. We'll see. I'll throw some shade around draft night. Get in your heads.
Between you and Janko, I don't know who's gonna be throwing more shade.
Oh, we'll team up. Maybe we start an alliance.
Is that the new meta level? Alliances in the fantasy draft. I want to see how
Yeah.
far this is gonna go.
I mean, he was good last year, so maybe we form an alliance, ride each other to the playoffs, and then best man wins. We'll see.
Oh boy, that's gonna go well with the other people.
Hey, the only thing that matters is winning. As long as you win, who cares how you do it?
I think most of them would agree on that one.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I can see Brian and Josh making some like under the table deals. I'll give you this for that, and I'll do this for you. Who knows?
Oh, dude, you weren't around for it last year, but when they lived with each other, they were negotiating trades on and off with
Oh,
each
there
other.
was definitely some collusion between them. Especially, I think once Josh started tanking, there was definitely some more collusion.
Yeah, your boy Josh has a lot of picks coming up too in this draft in the first 33 picks.
Yeah, I know. But I'm not worried. Josh is weak. He'll mess it up. He gets nervous.
Um, he's got the first pick too, which is projected to be Antonio Brown. That's what he's been telling everyone. We'll see if he sticks by it.
He'll pick Antonio or Le'Veon.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty accurate because I think he did actually say that to me.
Yeah.
Pretty standard.
I mean, he got burned on Gurley last year, so maybe he doesn't want to take a running back first overall. But I can see it.
You know, that's actually dead on because he's been talking about because he had struggled with receiver last year. And he goes, I just want a really good receiver, especially with the receiver roster plus flex.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what. Like, I didn't have like a good number 3, or like even high in number 2. Well, I had Amari Cooper, which is high in number 2, but like my 3 spot was where I was weak. Because I decided to go like strong running backs. So I thought that would work. It didn't. Well, it didn't, I guess.
Now I saw that you took Matt Forte was originally your second running back, right?
Yeah, because Eddie Lacy just. I took Eddie Lacy in the 3rd round, but couldn't win that second running back spot. Forte was just doing better.
Yeah, that's how it works out sometimes. I mean, I drafted Bortles first, but then I end up using Breeze and Matt Ryan, who were my second and third QBs.
Well, I've had Forte in a few leagues, and he's always like a solid contributor. Like he won't carry your team, but like he'll make sure you're staying like close, stay in the competition.
Oh yeah, no doubt. For like the past 9 years, he's just been like a top 10 fantasy running back,
Yeah.
just consistent. Though the Jets team is pretty bad this year. I wonder if he's actually going to make a big contribution, and he's hurt a little bit.
He's getting old too. He's getting up there.
Yeah, he's been in the league for almost a decade, if not a decade by now.
Yeah. And plus, that Jets team isn't gonna be good.
No.
They let go of their like top 2 receivers. I think they drafted like their first 2 picks in the draft were on defense. It's gonna be a shit show for their offense.
Yeah, you don't usually see NFL teams tanking, but if I've ever seen one, it's definitely this year's Jets.
Yeah.
So I understand that your 2 quarterbacks were Derek Carr and Dak Prescott.
Yep.
I
I think Prescott was a pickup though, if I remember correctly.
Prescott was
I took something else.
I'll take a look. Yeah, you got Phillip Rivers. So you actually had 3 pretty solid quarterbacks.
Which is good. Because, yeah, I think I started Carr and Rivers first, and then once Dak got hot, I switched them out. And then at that point, it was just whoever had the tougher matchup.
Yeah, and a lot of the talk we've been having with the past few podcasts is where the quarterbacks can go. And it clearly saw that you got great value for quarterbacks at later rounds, which is always a great thing to do.
Well, there's only like 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks that are worth a high round pick. And then everybody else, it kind of just falls into like the same tier.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, there's not really like much difference between like a Breeze and a Rivers.
No, wait. at quarterbacks, there's not really any bonuses either in this league either, so that does make sense. So it's all about the
Yeah.
value in the later rounds.
I mean, I can see maybe like a dual threat, like Cam going high again, just because of the running yards. But other than that, I'm not really worried about quarterbacks high. You can kind of find good value. It's only what 8 of us, 2 quarterbacks. Every person probably take 3, so that's 24 quarterbacks. So you're getting a starting quarterback no matter what. And it's not like your wide receivers or your running backs where you might be forced to carry like the running back or wide receiver that's like third or second on the depth chart.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, even if everyone drafted 4 quarterbacks, which I don't see happening, that's still 32 quarterbacks. So technically, they're all starting.
Yeah.
So, but I think people are going to try and go for that top tier quarterback first because getting 25 points a game for one position would be great.
Yeah. Well, I think Rodgers and Brady will go in the second round.
Oh, I completely agree with that, 100%.
And then from there, I think there's going to be a wait, and then somebody's going to start a run on quarterbacks where maybe like round 5 is just everybody taking a quarterback or something. Like 6 out of 8 taking a quarterback.
You think someone reaches on Matt Ryan after the season he had last year?
I can see it because they're like, yeah, Shanahan left, but their offense, nobody really changed. Plus the division they play in, like, they got good weather all the time. Then you're playing the Saints defense for 2 games out of the year. It's like, this shit. And then you got Tampa defense who's up and coming, and then like Carolina's defense is alright, but they don't really have that good of a secondary as they did with Norman on it. So like Atlanta has good matchups.
Oh, absolutely. And the NFC South as a whole, I mean, I think there's just great matchups everywhere. I mean, someone like Christian McCaffrey I feel like can have a good season as well.
Yeah, especially if they're trying to take some pressure off Cam.
Yeah, he's been running too much. He's getting beat up. I mean, they needed someone like that. I actually did like the pick when they actually drafted him 8th overall.
Yeah. I like no. McCaffrey's a good pick. He's a good fit. He fits that like read option scheme. Makes it a little bit more unpredictable.
Yeah, they kind of have a triple threat again. With Stewart, McCaffrey, and Cam now. They can take the workload off of everyone else, which seemed to be a problem last year.
Yeah, well, and like Stewart was such a big dude that if he was in, chances are like it was gonna be a run. He's gonna run in between the tackles. From what I saw from like McCaffrey, he can pop it outside, he can catch, and he can run between the tackles.
Yeah.
So you might see like the zone option come back with them, where Cam might go for like an outside run, like over the left tackle, and then just pitch it back.
Yeah, I feel like Carolina could get very creative this year. I'm very they're actually one of my teams to watch to see how they do perform with this probably newly updated offense they're gonna have.
Yeah. Well, Kelvin Benjamin's like a pretty decent wide receiver too. So it's not like you only have to focus on their run. You still got to keep a safety deep, so you can't really stack the box too much.
Oh no, not at all. Especially with Greg Olsen too. That might be their best threat right now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about taking? Actually, speaking of Greg Olsen, your value on the tight end position. How do you feel about it if it's not a Gronk? What do you go from there?
I would say Gronk and Kelsey are worth high picks.
Mm-hmm.
From there, it's kind of iffy, I guess. I think Bennett can have a good year in Green Bay. He's probably top 5. Jordan Reed in Washington, if he stays healthy, that's his problem. What else? I think Gates is still playing, but like he's old, so maybe. Like I had him last year. He's pretty reliable. I also like Walker from Tennessee.
Yeah, did you have Walker last year? I can't remember.
I had both. I had Gates and Walker.
Yeah, Walker was a great pick. I felt like he was really good.
Yeah. And this year, Tennessee got some new wide receivers, so maybe his workload is a little bit down, especially like the red zone. But I think he'll still be a good pick.
Yeah, that can have two types of effects for someone like him. It could either mean he doesn't get the ball as much, or it actually opens up the field more for him for opportunities he gets the mismatch.
Well, that's what I'm worried about Kelsey in Kansas City. Since they let go of Macklin, now Kelsey's really the only big guy. So he's going to be double covered every play.
Yeah, that was shocking they got rid of Macklin. I couldn't believe they did that. I mean, Ty Hill's going to have to step up for them.
Yeah.
That guy flies.
Well, that's about it, though. He's fast. You can't really... He's not big enough to high point. You don't really have to worry about him like in the red zone as much, going for like a 50-50 ball in the corner. Like their biggest red zone threat is going to be Kelsey. So anytime they're like within 25 yards of the end zone, there's going to be at least two guys on it at all times.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for Kansas City this year at all. I really don't. I don't like their team at all.
Well, I think them letting Macklin go and then drafting a quarterback first round is kind of them saying like, yeah, we can't catch the Raiders or Denver as of right now, so we're just going to play them for like a couple years down the road.
I personally think that New England put them into rebuilding mode.
Well, yeah, you also have to, even if you do win the division, you still got to go through New England.
Because every time they face them, they get clobbered in the playoffs against New England. It's just not even close.
Well, I mean, everybody's kind of changing their way they're playing to beat New England. I think the Steelers said they changed their whole like defensive scheme just to match up with New England. So, like Denver has their pass rushers, which they really to beat New England because the only way to stop Tom is with a pass rush.
Yeah, it's smart, especially like the Steelers case where they have actually a rather weak division this year. They can just play for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And try and match up there. They don't need to worry about winning the division as much with the talent they have.
Well, even if they don't win the division, they'll probably get a wild card spot anyway.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I can't.
They have enough talent.
They can make the
I don't
playoffs.
see them missing the playoffs.
Yeah, no way. Nope, they should be fine. Did you make any notable free agent pickups that you can remember last year that really helped your team?
I think Dak was one.
Oh yeah, yep, you did mention him.
Not from there? I don't know. I can look at my team. Give me a sec.
So I know
I like to keep like the bottom of my roster always changing. I guess. It's like I'll drop guys, pick them up. Depends on like how their matchups go.
Yeah, and I know Dak and Zeke were big contributors to your team. They really helped you get some wins there.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't make any trades.
Yeah, maybe I picked up Spencer Ware.
Oh, Spencer Ware. Yep.
Maybe, or maybe even what's his face? Michael Thomas from the Saints, or maybe just like late round draft pick.
Oh, Michael Thomas.
I'm not exactly sure.
Michael Thomas is projected top third 3 rounds this year. That's actually a great pickup.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. And I think I like changed like my kickers around or whatever, but like that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh, that's some good pickups there. You didn't make any trades, right?
No.
Yeah, I think me and Josh and Brian, the only ones that made some trades. Wasn't too excited in that aspect.
Your trade with Josh for Todd Gurley was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I don't have a 4th round pick this year because of it.
Yeah.
I went all in.
Actually, a lot of people want to trade their first round picks, right, this year? From what the Twitter feed was telling me.
So the story on that is I put that out there because I wasn't sure who was going to take at 3 because I wanted to hear some offers. And then once I put that out on the Twitter feed, Janko and Nico both texted me immediately saying theirs was available too. So I guess the middle of the first round is kind of iffy of what to get at that value.
Okay. So they would be open to trading.
Yeah, they would definitely talk.
Huh. Maybe I'll throw out some feelers.
Definitely give a shout to whoever you want. I mean, I think everyone's listening.
Mm-hmm.
Though my prediction, I don't see any of the talks escalating until the actual day of the draft. We're all sitting there and we see the players on the board. Like, okay, what do I want to do and what do I want to get for that value?
Yeah, I think people are going to get scared, like the player they're eyeing is about to get taken, so they might hop over somebody. I think you have the better chance of getting a good deal on draft day to like win your side of the trade.
Yeah, and that even happened last year with me and Josh, if you can recall, at the draft that we made a little nice swap
Yeah.
there in the later rounds.
I think Josh has a good advantage this year, though, with all his like draft picks in the first like top 40 or whatever.
Yeah, he got like there's a point where the third and fourth round meet where he has his pick, then his pick again, and then he has like my pick. So he basically has like 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 picks just for himself in those rounds, which is crazy.
That's pretty nice. But Josh has bad luck drafting, so he'll probably fuck it up.
Everyone's been talking about him. He's been like the team to watch out for this summer.
Nah, he's gonna be in the same spot as he was last year.
We had a couple bold predictions on the other later podcast. I know Nico said he might get the 7 wins, and I think Brian said he would get somewhere in that area too. People have some high hopes for him, but I'm glad to see there's another side of it.
We'll see. Josh is too emotional of a player. He can't hide that part out. He's also very easy to aggravate, so you can get in his head pretty simply.
That's it does. He does have the impatience part, the impulse.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
If he throws his like little like temper tantrum, then it's game over.
I wonder how you're gonna adjust with 2 new players in this league too. If you're gonna try and scoop them out early.
Yeah. Well, you can have a good sense of how everybody's gonna play as the draft progresses. Like after the first 3 rounds, you kind of know like what each team needs to take. So like it plays out like I say the most stressful parts are like you have good like high quality you have your studs of the league, and then from like round 3 to like 9 is just everything kind of plateaus out. So you kind of gotta pay attention to like what teams are focusing where and who's like Brian I think went on a run where he took like 4 tight ends or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
So at that point you're like, all right, like this kid's done. Like
This
the season's over.
Hey, he had the same record as you, crazy, believe it or not, but you just clearly had a lot more points. But same record.
Yeah, but he got lucky a few times.
Better to be lucky than good sometimes.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. The point you make about the rounds 3 to 9. We've talked about in previous podcasts that we've discussed that round 4 is like a whole new draft between 1 and 3. It's like it's a brand new game. It's like 2 parts.
Yeah.
And I don't even have a 4th round pick this year, so my draft starts at round 5. My new draft.
True. But even still, like round 5, you're still getting like either number one running back or number one receiver.
Yeah, there's definitely some good value. And even so, I don't have a fourth round. I do have 2 sixths, so that works out.
Yeah.
And just
And
think,
realistically, between the players that get drafted in the 4th and the 6th, like, not going to be that huge of a difference.
no. And think about round 7 last year, which round 7 had DeMarco Murray, Greg Olsen, Brandon Cooks, Doug Baldwin, Travis Kelce, T.Y. Hilton, Larry Fitzgerald, and Jeremy Maclin.
Yeah, like that's a stacked round.
Yeah, there's always one round that's going to be way better than the others, and that's definitely going to happen this year.
I mean, even though that's round 7, you have Macklin, who's a wide receiver 1, Fitzgerald's a wide receiver 1, Hilton's a wide receiver 1, Cooks was a wide receiver 1, DeMarco Murray was a starting running back, Kelsey and Olsen are studs, tight ends. Yeah, like.
It always brings up
I think about round 10 is when like the quality starts to drop. That's when you're getting back to like your like second and third like depth chart guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get like those second receivers, like that second tier that like have potential to be like sleeper
Yeah.
picks. Like Marvin Jones was a good pick for you in round 11.
Dude, he started off so good and then he just like shit the bed at the end of the year.
Dude, he had like a 200-yard game or something like that, right?
Yeah, he was killing it. And then I don't know what happened. He went from getting like 28 points to like 8 points a week. And I was like, what the fuck, Marvin? Like, I'm counting on you, bro. You can't let me down like that.
And that's always the risk with some of these guys late in the round too. Like they'll start off hot or end hot, but like the consistency is always an issue you have to worry about. It's rather frustrating too because then you get to the decision. You look at your lineup every week and you're like, well, do I start this guy because they had a good week, then a bad week, and you just don't know.
Dude, I hate. That's the least favorite part of fantasy football for me, setting my lineup every week.
Yeah, everyone loves drafting. That's the best part. And then like 12:45, you're like, okay, who do I put in?
Yeah, and I would like log on at like 12:50, like or like my time it was like at like 6:30, it's like 6:50 at night. I'm like, all right, like I gotta make sure I set my draft right, set my players right, and then I always made one fuck up. Either I should have started a guy or I didn't, or I took a guy out when I shouldn't have, and like always fucked up.
I know Alex in the last podcast says he doesn't even look at his lineup on Sundays unless there's an injury. He just does it Saturday and goes with his gut.
That's what I gotta start doing.
And I
It's
kind
like
of
I'll feel good about my lineup until the last 15 minutes, and be like, you know what, maybe I should change this.
yeah, I kind of just look at it once and then do it, and then I don't think about it until the games start.
Yeah.
I remember one year, this was like 2012 or something like that. I had a running back by the name of Javid Best. He was a Lions running back,
Mm.
and I benched him for someone else. I can't remember who. And Javid Best went for 57 points as a running back.
Damn.
And I benched him the last minute, and I ended up losing that week. And I was like, well, I can't be doing this again.
See, there were weeks where it was like, let's say like I took out like a Marvin Jones for like a Tyreek Hill or whatever, and like I lost by 2 points, and Marvin Jones got like 3 points more than Tyreek Hill. So if I had just not changed it, I would have won that week, and I'm just like kicking myself after.
Another frustrating part is when you have a superstar that's not performing, and you want to take them out of the lineup, but you know their potential, and you just can't.
I had that problem with Allen Robinson every week. I don't know if I should start him because they were having a bad year, but then like every third game he would do good. And like, all right, maybe like he's gonna go on a hot streak, and he just didn't.
Yeah, I had that same problem with DeAndre Hopkins, who I took in the first round, like fourth pick. It was so frustrating.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole like Osweiler situation was pretty bad.
Oh, it was awful. There was actually one week I was down at Brian and Josh's house. They were watching a Sunday night game with the Texans on. All I needed was DeAndre to get 5 points for me to beat Josh. 5 points, that's it. He got like 2, and I lost.
Oh,
And that cost me...
hate to see it. Hate to see it.
And that basically cost me, like, a playoff spot, because, I had the same record as you. It's just like, DeAndre gets those 5 points,
Yeah.
It's 5
I would have been out.
It's 5 points there, 5 points here, and that ends up costing you the playoffs.
Yeah. I think luck plays a much bigger part in fantasy football than like skill.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially, like, maybe not as much drafting, but, like, when you're setting your lineups, that's definitely luck. When you get into the season, you know where your teams are.
Yeah. Well, like injuries too. Like Joshy, he can take Antonio Brown first overall. Like great pick. Like you can't go wrong with that pick. But the dude can like tear his ACL first play of week 1, and then you're fucked.
Right. I mean, look at New England. Look at New England, 2008, with Tom Brady towards ACL.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't just affect the team. Well, I mean, it doesn't affect just Brady. That affects, like, Randy Moss, Wes Welker.
Yeah, that affected everybody that year.
That affects...
They went from 17-0 to 11-5.
I mean, that affects their fantasy value as well. I mean, it can have, like, such a great effect on other players depending on who gets hurt.
I don't know, man. I don't trust Patriots fantasy players. I don't trust that team for fantasy football.
Oh, you're not the only one.
Like I wouldn't take anybody off the team this year, other than Tom. I wouldn't take anybody.
You don't find some good value in a PPR league with Edelman or something like that?
Dude, matters. Because Cooks is going to cut into both Gronk and Edelman's numbers. And I think they're also going to be a lot more run heavy this year to protect Brady's arm.
Yeah, I mean, it brings to questions like, where does a guy like Gilsey go?
Yeah. Because, I mean, with Burkhead and Gilsey, they can just run all they want in between the tackles. Like, if Lewis is healthy, he's a good runner, too. Wood can catch great. And even if they don't run, for your wide receivers, you got, like, Hogan, who can have a great game like he did in the playoffs against the Steelers. Then if he gets hot, like, Tom's just going to throw him the ball. Like, Tom really doesn't give a shit about who catches it as long as they make the play.
Right. I mean, it's just, they're just so stacked at these skill positions. Like, it's just going to be frustrating to see who's going to be good each week. And you need consistency when you're playing fantasy football.
Yeah. Like, Edelman's a good pick. Like, he's Tom's, like, go-to guy just because of trust. But what I realized with the Pats is, like, Dola is his, like, real clutch safety blanket. Like, when he needs a play, he looks at Dola.
Yeah.
And with a healthy Gronk and a brand new, like, Brandon Cooks, everybody's going to have, like, the same amount of catches, I think.
Yeah. I'm not... It's just frustrating to look at because, like you said, they're all so matchup based. Listen, I mean, Brandon Cooks could get 6 catches and 150, and then the next week he gets 2 for 20.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what do I do? Whereas, like, a team like, I don't know, like Atlanta, you kind of know who's going to be good every week.
Yeah.
Like, they kind of just put their offensive weapons on the table and, like, they say, we're going to win by these guys or we're going to lose by these guys. Like Julio, Freeman, Coleman. You just know they're going to be good each week.
Even, like Miami. Like, you know, Jarvis Landry's going to get 10 targets a game just because they don't really have anybody else. And, like, Buffalo, you know, like, Watkins is going to get 10 targets a game. Like, they're going to get the ball. But the Patriots, is no idea.
Yeah. Miami's actually an interesting team this year to look at. I want to see what Tannehill does this year. He's really going to impact the rest of the players, fantasy-wise.
Yeah. Well, he has like a second year in Gase's offense, so he should be better.
Yeah, you would think he'd be better. Ajayi, like, people know he's going to be good now, too. Parker's good.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think they're safer. Their players, I think, are safer bets in fantasy than the Patriots players. Because another thing I don't think people are looking at is like Pat's D is going to be stacked this year. Like, there's a good chance Patriots have the number one ranked offense and defense this year. And if they have the number one ranked defense, that means short fields for the offense all day. So instead of like the Dolphins where maybe they gotta go like the average drive is like 80 yards, Pat's average drive might be like 65 yards, 70 yards. So even that's like less amount of room for players to make plays.
That's true, and even if, like, the Patriots get up early on teams, they might just run the ball in the second half and milk the clock.
Plus, I think they're going to try to get their big guys out of injury. Like, I think Gronk will be on a snap count all season. Once they're up, like, 2-3 scores, Gronk's not going to see the field.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I could see that. And even, like, Brady, they're probably going to be like, okay, we got to watch his arm. They don't want to get a dead arm by the postseason.
Well, with Brady, too, with Garoppolo, they might want to get Garoppolo in some games. Just to get some more tape on him, to see if they can trade him.
Theoretically, that does make sense. The problem is Brady's not going to let that happen. You know the kind of competitor he is.
Yeah, Brady needs to come out, but like he's not going to say no to. He won't make a scene with Bill if Bill just has like, hey, we're up 25 to like 7. Like, no point in you playing anymore. Yeah, it's like middle of the third quarter, but like, I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, it I know people have been saying it, but I kind of agree with them a little bit. It kind of smells like '07 again, something similar to that. Maybe not like Brady to Moss, like stats-esque, like maybe like more balanced attack, but they're gonna win games. They're gonna win by a lot.
I mean, they're gonna have just some like straight blowouts this year.
And that's why sometimes it's good to have players from teams that have like garbage time stats. You know, Andrew Luck's a great example for garbage time.
Great garbage time player.
Say that again?
Yeah, great garbage time player. Can't go wrong.
Exactly.
Even like a Matt Stafford, like he's gonna have a great year too. Doesn't matter, because if their defense isn't that good, they're gonna be forced to throw it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to find teams like you want a team. Well, you want players with teams that have like a bad defense, but you don't want them so bad that they just lose the game like really bad. Like it's like no point of trying anymore. You kind of want like a semi-mediocre team with a good quarterback. Then that's where you get your points.
Well, I think division matters too. Like if you look at like the NFC South with like Ryan, like when the Falcons and the Saints play, that's just gonna be a shootout.
Yeah.
So there's 2 games right there. If you have those quarterbacks, like you're gonna get like 30 points in those 2 games.
Yeah, that's true. Really, yes. Breeze like has been so consistent, like a guy like him in that division for so long. Just such a safe pick for him.
Yeah. Even Winston, like Bucks have a good like wide receiver core now too.
Yeah,
Martin comes back too. Like that's a sneaky team right there.
They have some great deep threats in Evans and Jackson.
Yeah, and then they took that O.J. Howard out of Alabama, so like they have a good tight end now too. So they got a lot of weapons. So you can see Winston go for like 4,500 yards, like 35 touchdowns.
And he can even be a good quarterback to draft, especially early on, because the first 2 or 3 weeks they're going by running back by committee, So they don't have a consistent running back to start with.
Yeah.
So that's a team to watch.
Another thing with quarterbacks, like, I don't really like Aaron Rodgers and Tom as my quarterback. Like, yeah, they're the two best in the game. But, like, dude, December games up in New England, it could be, like, -3. You got, like, hail. You got snow. Like, just not good throwing conditions. Same with Green Bay. You can have, like, a -20 game where it's just freezing cold. You can't even catch the ball.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point for players in those kind of climates, because you have to look at their schedule and see how much they're away towards the later part of the year. Because if you have, like...
Like, I don't know if they're playing in Buffalo this year, but, like, if you go to Buffalo into the year, too, like, that's a shit place to play in December.
Oh, certainly is. It's a mess, absolute mess. And you kind of hope for, like, a Brady, like, that one of his games is, like, a random place in, like, Arizona or Miami, like, week 15, 16, that you can get away with.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scheduling low-key is very important when you're picking a player, I feel like. Just to see who they can match up with. And, like, not just who they match up with, but, like, at what times of year they do.
Like, I don't really base my quarterbacks off of who it is. It's like, all right, like take Matt Ryan. I take Matt Ryan high because they're playing a beautiful new stadium. So 8 games he's indoors, like ideal conditions no matter what. One game they're in Tampa Bay, like usually beautiful. Another game they're at the Saints Dome. So that's 10 games right there, great conditions. Even Carolina, you're not gonna have too much bad weather in Carolina. So that's a lot of games right there. That's almost a little over 2/3 of the season where it's going to be beautiful playing conditions.
Yeah, most teams in the NFL don't have a problem with weather. I mean, it's mostly like Pittsburgh, the New Yorks, Buffalo, New England that have the biggest struggle, in Green Bay, obviously.
Yeah, maybe like Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle here and there, but the way their team's built is more like power run anyway, so it doesn't affect them as much. Like, they slow the game down.
No.
Though Seattle's actually, now that you brought it up, that's an interesting team to watch fantasy-wise. Russell Wilson, his pass attempts spiked up from last year compared to previous years.
They didn't have a running back because Ross was hurt for a good amount. Then the other dude got hurt, so they kind of had to force him to throw.
Yeah. People thought that Rawls and Procise were going to be good choices for fantasy, including myself. I thought Rawls was going to be an absolute sleeper. Didn't work out like that, but guy like Baldwin, Rashard Matthews, guys like that can have some great value in the middle of these drafts.
Yeah.
And Baldwin can occasionally be a touchdown machine.
Well, again, he's never really. I think he had over 10 touchdowns last year, right?
Yeah, he did. I actually picked him. Believe it or not, that was my 4th receiver choice, and he turned out to be my best receiver.
Yeah. The Seattle offense is weird. I think it also matters on, like, their defense was hurt a lot last year. I think Chancellor missed a couple of games, then Thomas was out. So I think Russell also threw a lot just because their defense wasn't that good. They were, like, high-scoring games. They had to catch up sometimes.
Yeah, they definitely had to change up their style last year because they couldn't do what they did traditionally. Did you see that, I don't know if you remember from last year, that 6-6 tie game against Arizona?
Yeah, dude. I saw, like, the highlights of it. Like, that's just ridiculous.
Dude, it was so funny. We were watching the game. It was a Sunday night game. We were at Josh and Brian's house, and we were just watching these kickers. There was 2 teams that had both kickers, and we were like, okay, well, if they get this points, they'll put them up this much, and they just kept missing, like, these easy field goals. So,
Yeah,
it should be interesting.
There's always that, like, one weird, unexplainable game every year.
Yeah. Normally you don't see a tie, but that might have been the weirdest game I've ever seen. And those are the kind of games that make differences. Um, Imagine being the team that
Yeah.
has the kicker and then you lose by a point because your kicker lost 2 points after missing a 20-yarder.
So I was gonna get a good kicker.
Yeah, when do you usually take a kicker? Do you wait till very late rounds, or are you not afraid to take one look at the 12th or 13th round?
I'll take like a Gostowski. High. Just because he's gonna make like high scoring offense. He's gonna make his kicks. He had like problems last year, but he's still pretty good.
Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, he is going early this year.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see him going like 11th round. Brian, I'm looking at you.
I can see it.
I
think that matters too. Because kickers and defenses are another thing where like once one person takes it, everybody starts taking them.
Yeah, most cases that applies more towards the defense than kicker. I've noticed past few years of drafting, once a defensive team is taken, they just start going.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with like San Diego in like the last round. You're like, oh well, this sucks.
Yeah.
Though you have
Actually,
what?
yeah, I took a kicker with the last pick of the draft last year.
Oh.
So no, I don't really care.
Yeah, it kind of just depends how your draft's going at that point.
I also change my kickers out. Like, I'll go by like the matchup they have, and I'll just pick it up and drop them.
Yeah, that's smart. What do you have? Six pick this year? How are you feeling about 6 pick?
It's alright. I'm not upset with it. It's not the worst pick.
You have an idea who you're taking?
It kind of matters. I think, like, Antonio Brown won't reach me. Le'Veon won't reach me. Maybe, like, Julio drops. Maybe, like, I get, like, a David Johnson. It matters. Or, like, an Odell. It matters how everybody picks.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to get an upper echelon receiver, especially around that pick. That might fall to you. I could definitely see that happening.
I like my pick.
You're picking next to Brian and Janko, so...
I like the 4 and the 5. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes for you.
We'll see. I would prefer like the 7 or the 8, but I'll take 6. Because I like it. There's like 4 in between picks once and then 10, which isn't bad. So like, I'm consistently picking. It's not like when Josh picks 1, he has to wait till like 17 to pick again.
Yeah, that's true. And you were actually supposed to have 7th until the lottery happened, and Brian dropped 4 spots down to 7. It kind of bumped everyone else up. Do you have any bold predictions?
You should change that lottery picks system.
You didn't like it?
I would argue that 8th is the best pick in the draft. By far. I would much rather have the 8th pick than the first pick. 100 times.
That's something that can be talked about. Just theoretically, the fact that you're theoretically getting the best player at 1, so that's why it goes like that.
Right, but if you take the average like player quality between round 1 and round 2, you're gonna get a better average player picking 8th than 1 and 16 or 1 and 15 or whatever it'd be.
That's true. If you pick right, you do technically have the advantage at 8 if done correctly.
Yeah.
It just one has the
like let's say like last year, if I picked Elliott, Rodgers 8 and 9, I would take that over any other combination.
Yeah. The problem is picking two guys like that is just very tough. One is just like
Yeah.
the safest like choice. You kind of know what you're getting at one,
Yeah.
except if you get Gronk.
Yeah, that's just bad dick.
Do you have any bold predictions for this year?
In what ways?
So what we've been doing is just been asking everyone what they have a bold prediction for the year. So, for instance, Nico said that Josh could get 7 wins. Nick said that him or one of the Connecticut boys will get the 1 seed. So it's like a bold prediction like that. It could be fun.
Okay, give me fun.
Yeah.
My prediction is Brian and Josh. In between them together, 6 wins.
How many wins?
6.
Oh, so the bold prediction for those who didn't hear, Brian and Josh will get a combined 6 wins, according to Teach. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's my bold. I like that. I'll go with that.
That means they'd probably be the two worst teams in the league.
Yep.
Oh man, that's interesting. Do you have any other fantasy football news you want to talk about? Any football news in general you want to talk about? Been going for a while.
Dude, my fucking Super Bowl experience was crazy, man.
Oh yeah, talk about that.
Dude, not even Super Bowl. So AFC Championship game. I'll start with that. The way it works out, the game was on here like Sunday night at 2 a.m. is when the game started.
Okay.
And the way it works, we have class Monday 8 a.m. And like you can't miss that class.
Oh wow.
So we all all the Americans that were here, there were I think 6 or 8 of us watching that game. And, stayed up all night, and we got absolutely obliterated. So me and my buddy, because it was just such a good win, blowout win, we drank between us a bottle and a half of I think it was vodka, whatever. So me and him, we go into this 8 a.m. class, just smashed out of our minds, and we're just sitting in the back of this class, dying laughing for 2 hours as this class is going on, not paying attention to anything that the teacher's saying, just cracking jokes, and everybody's looking at us. And then at 10 o'clock when the class ends, everybody just goes home and we knock out. And then for the Super Bowl, again, same thing, 2 a.m. our time, and then again 8 a.m. class. But that one was just a fucking stressful game. And as the comeback started happening, nobody really believed what was going on, which I think was true for all of New England.
Yep.
And the funniest part was that some of our German friends that know about football came to watch it with us. And as the comeback started happening, once we tied the game, everybody just went crazy. And we scared these poor Germans because they'd never seen fans react to that that way to sports.
No way.
Yeah, and then after they won in overtime, once James White scored and they confirmed it, we just went absolutely insane.
Yeah, that was certainly a game to remember. I was surprised the Germans didn't ever seen that in soccer or something.
They're crazy with their soccer, but I guess we were just crazier that night. Because that's not a normal game. That shouldn't have happened. But this is a podcast, but I have a video I can show you guys of one of the Germans took a video of us celebrating. And you can see why they kind of freaked out.
Dude, you'll have to show us that the day of the draft. I definitely want to see that.
Sounds good. It's a 2-minute video, and it's I after the Super Bowl, I watched that video 10 times a day.
Oh, how could you not? I swear, I even told some of the people I was at school with, I said I'd never seen the sky so blue the day after the draft.
Yeah,
it was such a beautiful day. I was like, man, I was just smiling the entire day.
Dude, I didn't believe that we won for a week. I couldn't believe that we actually came back.
It was unreal. Unreal. Definitely one of the greatest games I've ever watched.
Yeah, by far.
New year though, we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year in football. It's gonna be a good year in fantasy football. Teach, I thank you for coming on for this fantasy football podcast. It was definitely great to catch up. Great to see you.
Yeah, man.
We're all going to be looking forward to see you at the draft. You're welcome. Kind of a small welcome back party for us, having the draft get all together and hang out.
Yeah.
So for everyone else, we have now interviewed every single owner in the league. So thank you for everyone who's participated and listened. For now, and before the season starts, we may have some podcasts, we may not. Depends anything pops up or not. But throughout the season, we might have a weekly podcast that will be bringing up back random people on just here and there, talk about their teams, season progress so far.
You should do multiple people podcasts.
That's definitely an idea.
Round table thing.
Oh, we could do that. See, these are the things that we could bring up. That's another good idea right there. I'm going to keep that in mind. Once again, you can follow this podcast on the Horizontal YouTube channel and then _ the Horizontal on Twitter. This is Season 1, Episode 7. This is Mike Judici. Thank you for listening.